Hello, hello, hello. I am Sharogan, and I am going to be your friendly neighborhood Shackcaster today, casting this BBZ versus Team YUBI game. And joining me today is Theracles.
Yeah, it is me back. It's been a hot minute, and unlike Shurigan, I will be your unfriendly caster today.
Hey, you gotta have a yin to the yang. So I mean, that's just how it works. And this game, I'm absolutely like after the stress of that last game, I am super stoked for this one. We've already got those bans coming out really quickly right here. It looks like we're gonna be hopping in pretty fast, and we've got a Morgana and Galio as the first two picks. Two very strong AP champions. One is a flex that we have seen thrown into the jungle. I'm kind of thinking that might be where we see it with these new jungle changes, but who knows?
That's true. I mean, especially like Yubi is pretty good about drafting things that you can flex real good right off the bat. And, especially with also on the flip side, we've seen a lot of jungle Morgana so far. It can still go support. We haven't seen it in the mid too much, which is good. But also kind of cool to point out. I think Yubi with their, Senna's can still be support, but not exactly. But that's three bans that could be just pointed right at cross Songo or BBZ Songo now. Sorry.
Exactly. Those are some Songo target bans right there. Looks like they're trying to take out his potential champion pool. And I just want to point out right now that we have a double ADC comp on the side of BBZ. Maybe they watched last game and saw how well the poke comp was working for PTP. Maybe that is their game plan against YUBI.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen them pull out, a poke siege kind of comp. They did that in their first week. I think it was the second day or something like that. But it was interesting, and I'm kind of glad that they're switching up a little bit here in their plan. Back in season 2, Lights did play AD carry for a good part of that season, so throwing him on an AD isn't a terrible idea. And I can see how that would be a good mix-up for them.
Yeah, the only thing though, so I just want to obviously if we look over the side of YUBI, they've already picked up a Jarvan and a Maokai. So those are two champions that are really good at locking down mobility champs, and so I kind of think that might end up hurting BBZ with those two being their main opponents.
I would kind of disagree on that. Like, I think they're just still good picks because as far as like any kind of Jarvan, follow up, I think they both have ease that can get them out of the way. Galio's probably the roughest one to deal with, but Malachi, if he's like throwing any type of sapling threat, it should be almost non-existent.
True. All right, and then yeah, obviously right there we've got a Wukong ban, which makes me so happy because my goodness is that champ overtuned. I hate seeing it in that top lane. It is like as soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, that team's gonna win. I just know it. But so seeing that ban come out, and you got the Malphite ban as well, so we're not gonna have a big mountainy boy having to deal with diving in on them. It does seem they're going for that poke heavy comp, so they're blocking out those big threats like the Malphite and the Cho'Gath. So can kind of see BBZ's game plan. I'm a little curious as to what they're going to be picking up for their next two picks. I want to see some AP, but they do need to get some front line because they don't have any right now.
That is true. That is definitely the one thing that they're lacking, and they're kind of limiting themselves a little bit. Okay, I'm glad they kind of switched that last ban up, especially with what we've seen Jeff Godgamer perform. That lethality Sivir, or actually I'm not too sure about today's patch change, but the last few patches, it's just been so nuts to deal with. So I'm kind of really glad that they took that away, but it seems like he's kind of going to go ahead and jump back onto probably Tristana here, something we've seen him play quite a few games on and also just perform really well as well. So
Tristana is a great safe pick. It is one of those champions that's just kind of a good staple, really good for pushing lanes, that sort of thing. And against a Ezreal Lucian, you're going to need something to push those lanes out and take those towers as quickly as possible because of how much damage they'll be able to output while you're under that tower whenever you get pushed back under your own. So in terms of tanks, I am happy to see a Nautilus coming out. So obviously that means that we might be seeing a Morgana jungle with that, which I think is really exciting with these jungle changes. And we got a Renekton. So both of those really good frontliners, really good divers. So it's definitely the whole get in to the lane, force and engage, lock down YUBI, and then just have Lucian and Ezreal poke them as much as possible.
Yeah, again, I really like the Renekton pick. It's going to be able to, get past this Jarvan wall and also still get onto Tristana fairly well. I think it's kind of humorous, though, that the last game, I felt like Songo really struggled against the Nautilus of Brian Sang, so now he's picking it up, and we're gonna kind of. It'd be really poetic if he just kind of flipped the tables on and just had the same kind of performance, you know?
Yeah, one thing they are going to have to worry about on the side of BBZ is any form of armor that's built for YUBI is going to basically start locking them down. And I do like the fact that we do have some other stuff going for them, but I think we're about ready to hop onto the Rift, and so let's go ahead and check this game out.
Yeah, I would agree. Just kind of like from what I saw, I'm kind of just a little bit skeptical. I think the Mouse Power was a really good last minute pickup there on the side of YUBI. But I think YUBI's draft is pretty solid, actually.
Yeah, YUBI's got a really solid draft. I completely agree. There is one thing that I think is kind of interesting. With the number of AD threats on the side of BBZ, that's going to negate a lot of the inherent tankiness of Galio. Because of the fact that all that damage is going to be AD damage rather than AP damage, so his spell shield is just not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. I don't know. The thing I'm trying to figure out, exactly where the action is going to be. And I think probably it's going to be mostly in mid. I think Lights is going to try and really use that bullying power that Lucian has in this early mid game, and probably, try and punish Malzahar before he hits 6. But
Ooh, we got a little bit of a cheeky flash in the dab. I think that was basically like, look, you want to put me in a handicap by banning all my champions? I'll go ahead and give you a summoner spell too, just for good measure.
I really hope that's what that was, because otherwise, this is going to be a really rough game if we can't figure out where summoner spells are,
Yeah, just a little bit. It's only 5 minutes, though. It's not the worst thing in the world. So this is kind of interesting. Brian Sang and Jeff God both dropped into the bot side tri-brush, and there was no ward placed there, so Red and Songo are going to be walking right into that ambush, which is going to be really bad. We should be watching that here. I do agree with you that we're going to be seeing a lot of action bot side. Look at this. We got the fight already starting up right there. Nice hook. We're getting a flash out of Red. Red is ignited as well. Has to use heal just to stay alive. That is basically every summoner spell except for exhaust is now burned for the side of BBZ, and they're already on the back foot.
Yeah, and forcing Red to back already is absolutely tragic. You want to get that level 2, and if you're not even a contestant, like if you're going to show up and they're going to be hitting level 3, that is just bananas unlucky in start. And I really like that Brian Sang and Jeff were also just spamming emotes in the bush the entire time, like some kind of evil maniacal laugh of what was to come. So
it's like, we know it's coming. Definitely. So how do you think this top lane's going to go? I think it favors Renekton for the most part, but we have seen Freelancer do a pretty good job. And I'm a little surprised to see Maokai in the top lane, although right there, taking a nice bit of chunk damage.
Yeah, I think Freelancer and Nier are absolutely nobody to bat an eyelash in. Their performances this split have been really, really high. So like I think the matchup's definitely favored by Renekton. I think Renekton is pretty good in almost every matchup. Like the whole goal is just being to bully and get ahead. So as long as he accomplishes that and doesn't int, and there's the tower, okay.
Yep, that tower shot. Nier getting knocked out of the tower by Renekton, so actually avoiding first blood thanks to him. Lights is getting himself pinned right here by Utility Monster. That's a nice dash in order to avoid the knockup, and getting a nice bit of damage right there. Utility Monster does dodge the Morgana Q that was thrown blindly, though, so he doesn't have to worry about getting locked in.
Yeah. So, yeah, like my whole point was that, you can definitely create a lead there, but if you accidentally take a tower shot, the point becomes pretty mute.
Yeah, it definitely becomes a moot point at that stage. And Nier fighting really close to this tower it wigs me out. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, definitely, high chance of mess up. But I mean, if he feels comfortable and as long as he's not going to get punished for it, I guess go for it.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out right here is we do have Utility Monster is getting some of his camp stolen by Dax as he's taking that topside jungle. He did start with a topside clear, going from buff to buff in order to try and gank bot or trying to gank mid, but I think he might actually be a little bit behind. Yeah, Morgana's clearing way faster than he is, and this is going to be a nice gank up top lane. Right here, we got Freelancer getting stunned. We got Morgana kind of dropping down the black pool. There's the root right there. Nier getting a lot of damage. He's tanking a tower shot. Morgana getting knocked under there as well. Dax is having to flash in order to avoid giving up a kill. And I think overall, that went in the way of Freelancer.
Absolutely. He played that really well. He knew, when to not overcommit. And kind of confused though.
Oh, and we got another fight here in the bot lane. Brian Sang going in on Songo. Songo's having to hook himself out, but he is able to escape. Red getting some nice damage onto Brian Sang. Doesn't manage to pick up the kill, though. But we do have a fight going on in the mid lane. Sivlock has to flash out to avoid giving up first blood as well. That is a lot of summoner spells this game with no kills.
Yeah, I think everyone has a little bit of that camera pressure. One, nobody wants to be the guy that gives up first blood, and nobody wants to be the guy that gives up first blood on camera in such a high-stakes game, you know?
Absolutely. I like Songo walking away from the wave, making sure he doesn't accidentally blow some of it up, and keeping Red from having to take any extra damage. A little bit of a blind Q. Not sure what that was about. We got right here, fight going on the top lane. Near, not in a lot of danger. I do like how many escapes he does have to avoid Maokai.
That is true. And kind of the Renekton, you know, just being aggressive and trying to press and take damage, is actually kind of still working out for him. The wave bounced back to him. He's only down, you know, 2 CS or whatever, so it's really minute. He's going to be able to build it back up, and Maokai doesn't have a teleport, so he's also going to be missing a lot of this farm. So it's really, really actually a good idea that, you know, that Nier is staying to push that. Kind of a little bit of a misstep by Freelancer, I think.
Just a little bit of a misstep right there. I saw Songo. He was looking for a hook a few seconds ago. Wasn't quite able to get it. If he had, he would have been able to lock Tristana under tower, which would have been nice. Look at this. Lights is just making it to where Sivlock never has his black shield.
Yeah, definitely keeping the pressure up, but, you know, with just the split, you know, I mean, Nier still has teleport and all that, but being able to keep the pressure under bottom that they've been able to keep up on Red, making sure he's just always on the back foot, gives them a really early dragon, which is nice. And now
we've got a 4-man gank coming down here in the bot lane, and it is kind of sussed out. Like, they saw that the Drake was gone, they saw 3 members walking into lane. Songo was already backing, so he was safe. I was kind of looking forward to that fight. Like, I thought that was going to be really exciting. One thing I want to look at right now, is Morgana versus this J4. So J4 has the better dueling pressure, I think. But in regards to farming, it is very clear that Morgana's ahead of him.
Correct. Yeah, I would say Dax is you know, pathing really well. Neither of them have really gotten a solid gank off yet, but taking a red buff. I think Dax has just decided to move in and set up shop in Utility Monsters Upper Jungle, which I think they're fine with, because I think their whole pressure is to really be on Red, which isn't also really working out for them, as he's actually keeping up with CS, so...
Yeah, exactly. So with Red keeping up with CS, with that Tristana, despite having been sent back into lane, that was a miscue. If that had hit, oh man, that would have been a nice go in. But Nier is not able to quite continue this fight against Freelancer. You know, this Renekton matchup, it's so rough for him because of the amount of sustain that Maokai has. Just allows him to sit under that tower and farm so easily.
Yeah, and we've seen that Renekton's already picked up an Executioner as his first part, but I'm really not sure that the you know, Grievous Wounds is really that big to apply yet. So I think he's delaying his pressure for, like, the first team fight. Like, sure, it'll be good for Maokai, but when you're going to be, you know, if you're trying to, like, be involved in any team fight that's coming up, you're setting yourself behind.
I've heard people say that. For me personally, I like getting the Executioners earlier, just knocking it out, and then I split build into my other items. Sure, it delays my power spike a little bit, but for me, it's a nice little... When those fights actually are happening, I'm hopefully with the rest of my team, so I'm providing the utility rather than the damage. So
yeah,
that was a good shield by Songo to block the Tristana auto attack.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not too certain exactly when this match is going to explode, because I think when it does, it's gonna, like, be one death after another. So
I think it is too. Look at that. We got a flash coming out in order to get a nice bit of damage off. Red is having to back off. He's getting ignited and he's going to go down. That is a good route, but it's not keeping Jeff God Gamer under tower. He's just hanging out on the outside of it, and Songo is going to have to walk away.
Literally, as I'm talking about it, yeah, that I think Jeff just wants to be ahead in lane. He just wants it so bad that they're just willing to throw themselves at it, and it kind of worked out this time, yeah.
It definitely did. And we have Sivlock. He is pathing down a little bit just to try and take a peek at bot lane. Obviously, not sure exactly what his game plan was. I don't see a ward dropped by him. We do have J4 and Galio, Tristana all moving into the bot side of the jungle. They are looking to gank this mid lane, and Lucian is going to have to be really careful here.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you know, at this point though, Lights is, you know, realizing that Malzahar is level 6, so now he can't, you know, bully him too much without a risk. And again, Dax is doing really well at pathing, but we're not really seeing him do anything with this lead he's building up, though.
It's definitely power farming Morgana right now, where basically they're just worrying about getting him scaled up, getting him in that Zhonya's. Once he's got Zhonya's, he'll be able to just kind of... His ganks are going to be pretty scary. Look at that nice suppression and silence by Malzahar in order to try and keep Lucian from getting it. But is the ult going to hit him? It's not going to quite manage to hit the J4. He is going to get out. Oh, that was so close.
That was a tragic moment. I really thought J4 was gonna die, just a little bit of latency, but yeah, I guess
we got a nice stun right there. Good flash coming out from Freelancer in order to avoid Dax's Q. We do have a Rift Herald drop. This is why he's been hanging out topside this whole time. They want to get this top tower destroyed so that they can get Nier out of the top lane and get him into the rest of the fights as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Definitely a good amount of gold. Let's see, you know, if Nier can pick something up and, you know, make an even bigger impact. With that, you know, kind of flip, you know, Nier's already used his teleport.
Look at this. Brian Sang's ready for it. He wants to go in. He wants to go in so bad.
Yeah.
You can see the bloodthirst in those stony eyes of his.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I feel like Lucian has a lot of money that he should be able to bag for, but I don't know if he physically can with the Malzahar pressure, though.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I can't breathe my own breath. My bad. Okay, so breathing is really hard, guys. I'm sorry. With this, we've already got okay. I'm not sure how I feel about that TP from Malzahar. I do understand that he's coming into this fight, but obviously they're just setting up around Dragon Pit. They are looking to contest this on the side of BBZ, so they are prepping to fight for it as well. This could be the first real big team fight that we have. Zivlock does have his spell shield up right now. That is a good Q by Morgana, but it is not quite able to steal that Drake.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure BBZ just decided to give it up, mostly because, you know, Lucian was still coming back, and, you know, Nier didn't have teleport, so it would have been a 3v4, and Freelance still having teleport, so it could have been 3v5, so it would have been a really risky play if they wanted to commit to anything harder than that.
Yeah, and, you know, it's kind of funny. You talk about money for Lucian. With the Malzahar dropping his minions, that's an extra 2 gold for each of those. Not a lot, but that is probably going to be helping him just a little bit.
Sure, yeah. And, you know, he is getting the pressure. He's handling it very well in the fact, you know, he's not dying. He's able to keep his farm up fairly high. He's building up a little bit of a lead. And he went back and, you know, finished his, not finished, but got his Noon Quiver and his crit cloak. So he's pretty much ready to get into Kraken Slayer, what I imagine. And from there, I think that's when he can actually start making a play. So.
I think we've got a little bit of something going on here in the top side. Nier and Dax are both looking to gank Freelancer. Freelancer knows that he's there. He's got plenty of wards. He doesn't have flash at the moment, though. He is not able to avoid the Morgana Q. That's Morgana ult coming out as well. Blackpool, there is the Chains of Corruption right there doing a lot of damage, a lot of lockdown. Maokai is able to lock down Dax a little bit, though, and they do take him down. Or there was a lot going. I was trying to figure out who was doing what exactly right there, and I was a little confused.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of pressure up on Freelancer, just this big tanky boy, but really, this is the first one that's actually shown some fruition, and we are able to, you know, probably racing for turret, but they have a significant advantage here in the top one.
They do, and so what's really interesting is Dax has definitely been ganking these lanes a lot more aggressively than J4 has. J4 has been going for these objectives and managing to sneak that. But Dax has not fallen behind in terms of levels in the way that he's got to level up on Utility Monster right now.
True. And on the flip side, despite being up in farm and stuff, Freelance is actually higher up in levels. You know, having to split some of that XP with Dax, I believe, has something to do with it too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely there. They did take that top side earlier, so taking that top tower definitely means that they don't have to worry about giving up first turret gold, which is always, in my opinion, the biggest worry I have going into the bot lane when I'm up against a lane that I know is going to be able to shut me down, and the way a Trist Galio lane can, is just making sure I don't give up first turret.
Sure. I don't mind that play either on the side of UB, specifically because they dropped the bottom.
Look at this. Red is getting bounced around under tower. Tristana, Jeff God getting a lot of damage off. Dax is up here in the top lane facing off against this Freelancer. Freelancer just is not able to soak up enough damage. We've got a lot of fights going on in different parts of the map. BBZ Red isn't going to be able to survive. He's got that heals. He's going to be able to make it out of there and doesn't manage to go down while we get that kill on the Maokai. No, take that back. Tristana gets the kill on the Nautilus. Nautilus re-engaged. Dax taking a lot of damage as well. Red hanging out on the backside though, and he's launching his ult, trying to get something out there. I really want him to back away, though, because he's going to get taken out. We've got the fight in the top lane. Lights is going to get taken down by Utility Monster, who just manages to wreck his face. Right here. Oh, wait, never. No, there we go. There it was. That was a lot of damage, but Lights was not quite able to pull it out.
Yeah, I believe that for a second. I was like, he's up pretty high. I think he might be able to pull this off, but just a little bit off.
It's a little bit off. He didn't quite have enough burst on Lucian. However, the fact that he was able to solo Maokai and then solo Lucian and be as low as he was means that it's going to be a very bad day if they face off a full-strength Lucian with the rest of his team.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, overall, like I said, I don't mind UB giving up, that first tower, because what they did get out of it, they got bottom out of it. Mid was in a very low spot, so they had, with Lights with no summoners or anything, he couldn't really contest by himself. And BBZ was just a little bit slow in the rotation to have all of their members there to try and stop it. And for that, they paid a pretty big price, kind of just staggering the way they came in, gave up a couple of kills. And honestly, if it didn't switch so bad at the last part, they almost probably could have lost a second.
They could have. BBZ is doing, Blue Bayou is doing a great job, though, holding on to their this game, just as a general rule, because they're only got one tower to 2. They don't have any Drakes, and they're down a kill, and yet their gold is practically even, if not slightly ahead. Yeah,
they're managing themselves pretty good in a way. I think that rotation is the only big thing I'd really fault them on macroly that they've made so far. Their members have been moving in a much better way. Like, again, we've already talked about Dax doing a good job in his pathing and all that.
Yep, and we have Nier right here in the bot lane. He is not quite able to escape. The Jarvan Q just managing to take him down. So he was down here doing a little bit of farming solo. Freelancer came down to join him and was able to basically... Nier's like, oh, I got this just fine. Then J4 came from outside of the bush, gets a lot of damage. The Chilling Smite comes out, Flash to get out of the Cataclysm, but isn't quite able to escape the J4 Lance and gets taken down.
Not too much to say on that. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of lockup from Malachi, and then Utility Monster doing the same thing. One Nier being down, not able to be part of this dragon fight, and being down Flash is just pretty huge. I mean, he's going to have to play pretty safe unless they have proper vision for them to be able to push out and siege. But right now, YUBI is just taking over the map with those 2 towers.
Oh, and we have a game pause right here. Let's see if we can find out what's going on.
It looks like Lights is having some connection issues.
Oh, that would be very unfortunate. I know that for me personally, I've been having a lot of storms down here in the south, and they have been playing havoc with my internet on occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been kind of a crazy season, I think, for a lot of people, especially with what's going on.
Yeah, so we're gonna try and get Lights back. Hopefully things will be good and he'll be solid. So with the way this game is playing out right now, though, Theracles, I do have to say that I think BBZ is actually this game is slipping through their fingers. They are not controlling objectives the way that they need to be. They've lost 3 Drakes already very quickly and very easily over to the side of Yumi. And it looks like they're moving up towards the Rift Herald, which they might be able to get, but at the same time, Yubi's already sussed that out and they're on their way too.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, the things that we were seeing from BBZ that we were saying were good were kind of more just a calculated thing. I think that YUBI was willing to give up. Again, their macro movements literally exploded the map for them. They took control of the bottom half. It's what led to the death of Nier in that last fight. It's what secured them their last dragon. And it's really just being played well. I mean, Lights is doing a really good job, just being mechanically good. And, we saw him solo Freelancer up in the top, which was just a little bit of a disrespect, I think, from Freelancer, not respecting what happened. It is kind of hard, especially with Lucian gauging his damage. When he finished his item, he just kind of exploded, and that's kind of what led to almost his double kill. And I think if he would have gotten that kill, he probably could have pushed for tower and probably avoided a little bit of the situation, but that's a very, like, if this happens, this very specific set of events. So
Yeah. No, I would definitely say if we look at that particular fight, that is a defining moment of this game, mostly because of the fact that it does allow the shutdown gold to go onto the J4. And then it's a situation where Lights is forced to go like his momentum is lost, and having lost his momentum like that means that it's going to be really hard for him to come back in, and he's going to have to he's having to take a step back and come back from square one. I do want to say that despite all of that, though, this is League of Legends. There are ways to come back even when you don't have enough gold to match your opponent. I just want to say I won a game the other day. The final score was 45-25, something like that. We were the 25. And our gold difference was we were down 6k gold, and we still managed to win. We couldn't win a team fight to save our lives. We were getting completely stomped. But to the actual game, it was like, the objectives are ours.
Sure,
we had an on-hit Nico, by the way.
Yeah, and like I think a lot of that just comes to like people's ability to like read and understand numbers and situations, because like I even like watched some friends play like a one for all where it's just like one Yumi versus a bunch of Yorks, and sure that one Yumi just became this massive monster, but they just get out macroed. Like you can't be in 5 different places. So like sure that the gold is one way, but if you just turn your keyboard and your brain off, of course you can still lose. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, the enemy team was like definitely completely agree. If you turn your keyboard and brain off, you're going to lose the game. But there are still ways to outthink your opponent, just as a general rule. It's always really tricky to do, really hard to do, and it takes time. There was a reason that was a 50-minute game.
Yeah, and it seems like FOF is going to be on no shortage of long games today. We're all just going to be able to hang out with each other, our fans, our wonderful players. Just really nail biters to make sure people aren't sure how their channel points are going to be at the end of the day. I think that's been a nice touch this season. I feel like more people have told me stats than I ever would have thought, and it's all because that they don't play League of Legends still, but because they want channel points.
Yep, that's honestly that's true. It's like you want channel points, you got to like review the game and actually know what's going on. Speaking of reviewing the game, I do want to point out that the last game was the first Elder Drake, as far as I'm aware of, that we've had this split. Maybe even in FFS. I can't recall if we've got. I think there's been a couple of Elder Drakes in season 1 and season 2. I just can't remember specifics on that.
I would bet at least, yeah. But
all right, so it looks like things are good to go. We are back in this game. That is going to be an easy Rift Herald pickup for Blue Bayou. We don't have Yumi contesting. They decided to go ahead and push mid, which they have been doing a great job of so far, just pushing these lanes. Divlock's got his spell shield back, so that's going to be a big problem for any engage that happens.
Yeah, I mean, getting Rift Herald's always good. Again, now there's this huge, like, this possibility. I think we've heard someone say something like the quantum possibilities left open. So sure, this could be really great if they can make a play off of it. If they can, maybe use that to secure the next dragon. Or well, probably not. It's 4 minutes away. But if they can, macro their way back in, they're down another tower. So if they could find a way to make some pressure, get some vision back, get some gold back in their pockets, and take a fight that's favorable, that would be the way to go.
And so we've got the Rift Herald dropping in the mid lane. Smart play, just kind of try and even out the pressure so that you're basically down. You're only down a tier 1 turret to tier 2, so that way they're at least a little bit closer. It's going to essentially get stopped here, though, while in the meantime we've got Lucian in the bot lane pushing out that bot side tower. This is where Lucian does a really good job. He doesn't do a lot of damage to towers yet, but once he gets a couple more items in, his pushing power is going to be pretty nice.
Yeah. And Lights is kind of playing, kind of more of a duelist status, so he's going to create this pressure where he more than likely, we saw him 1v1, it's probably going to need to be a 2v1. Civlock can, still shut him down if he gets a little too over the top with his play, so that's good. But, these teleports is going to become in real handy with creating that pressure and being able to be a part of fights as long as they're paying attention to it.
Yeah. I do want to say that the defensive wards out of BBZ are nothing in comparison to the offensive ones coming out from Yumi. Just the amount of vision they have on the top side is kind of ridiculous. There's no place in that jungle for Blue Bayou to walk that Yumi won't know exactly where they are.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of in response to what we saw, when Freelance pushed up too far and got solo killed. They're like, fine, if you want to keep pushing, we're going to at least give you vision, because you're just a tree, and I get you just kind of have to waddle out when that happens.
That way you at least know what's coming.
Yeah.
And it looks like Civlock did respond to the Lucian push. Lucian is currently down there pushing as well. He is kind of in danger of getting ganked by both of them, but Civlock is moving towards the mid lane. I was going to say that the J4 and them could probably collapse on him once that hits that turret. I don't believe the minion wave is going to be strong enough to take the turret down on its own. Oh, it is. It is enough to take it down on its own. Nier, in the meantime, is going to get dove underneath this tower shot right here. He does try to get hit so that Civiliancer is actually tanking tower, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough. There is no damage on that. Lucian does no damage to the Tristana. His ult comes out, and that is finally we're seeing Freelancer fall down a little bit in health. There's a flash coming out as Morgana tries to get in deep so that she can get it off her Chains of Corruption. Does go golden, does get a bunch of roots down. This is going in the direction of Blue Bayou, but we have the J4 Cataclysm coming in to change things up. Red is trying to get some damage off as well. Ezreal shooting off in the back line. That is going to be a 3-for-2 on the side of Blue Bayou Zoo.
Yeah, it looked like it was going really well. I mean, it wasn't all bad. I think there were some good things that happened, but I feel like their focus got really split. It seemed like Lucian started kind of trying to finish off the top side, and then the Morgana Dax Q kind of went a little bit far to the right. I think it was over on J4, so it seemed like their focus got really split, wherein, you know, if they just focused the Jarvan down, that Cataclysm wouldn't have been a factor, and then they would have been a lot more free, especially with Nautilus to be able to get the hooks that he needs. It creates this big barrier for him that's even harder for this slow, big target to get around. So I think that would have made a really big difference in that.
I agree. It looks like they were trying to finish off Civlock, who was there as well, instead of focusing on the J4. However, at that point, it was only Red and Sunga that were left.
Yeah, true. Just, oh no.
Oh, that was a nice black shield, but it's not going to matter because those are auto attack damage, AD damage, not magic damage, Tristana bullets. That is a ult coming out from Utility Monster. It's not going to be enough to actually kill anyone, but that was a lot of damage on it. Ezreal really needs to get some damage into his build. He went Divine Sunderer for this rather than a Kraken Slayer or anything like that. I do think that's probably the better idea. And it looks like he hasn't quite finished his Muramana. He does have the tier. It's almost stacked, but it's still got a little bit of work left in it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't mind the Divine Sunder with the front lane he's got to get through. But yeah, really not having tier finished is really delaying the damage for him. So it's gonna be a minute, you know, probably at least. When I say minute, I mean more like, you know, 6 or 7 is before we really see his damage come up.
We got the root and the black pool coming out. That's going to mean that poor Utility Monster takes way too much damage when he finally tries to start that engage, and it's not going to matter. The Cataclysm did activate, so that is going to be it on cooldown right now. Nier is getting knocked down, but that is a good root onto Jeff God Gamer, who has to leap back over the wall to stay alive. Lucian's trying to get a pick off on the side, but isn't quite able to get the angle right. Then we've got the rest of the re-engage from the side of Yumi. Yumi is able to just clean up BBZ and push them off of this turret or dragon.
Yeah, let's see if Red can make anything happen with this before we, you know, go too far. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to because he doesn't have ulti. He doesn't have he'd have to basically Essence Flux and hit it with a Q, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that without vision.
Yeah, I doubt it too. Oh, okay, good.
He tried. He tried. He gave it a shot.
Yeah, that team fight was kind of all over the place, and I think it's really impressive on the side of YUBI to pull the trigger, and I think it might have been a little frustration. Like Jeff's like, we should go, and then people was like, yeah, maybe. But then when he like jumps in and literally forces his teammates, they're like, okay, I guess we have to. And they all like just kind of pile in after that. It was really well played. I like that.
Yeah, and the rocket jump from Tristana over the wall first to start the engage, and then back over the wall in order to escape. Look at this. We got poor Civlock getting himself caught out. That is a Galio ulti trying to come in and finish off. Civlock flashing over the wall to stay alive. He is not going to go down. That is going to be a suppression coming out in order to finish off the Morgana. Morgana going down. And this is what the problem of BBZ's comp is going to showcase. They cannot really team fight. They've got to get these picks, and they've got to basically isolate the rest of YUBI in order to really stand a chance.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. You know, with the Morgana but yeah, their vision's just really not lining up for that. But boy, would I be tilted once I saw that Malzahar flash over the wall and get away. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt real bad.
I definitely think that tilts them just a little bit. But so how's this game playing out from the way you thought things were gonna go, Theracles?
Not exactly how I thought at all. Like I knew YUBI was gonna do well, you know, but the way that this tempo has... Oh, hold on. This is tragic.
This is going to be Jeff God getting caught, but not caught out because of the fact that he has that rocket jump to once again be able to escape. This is the thing about Tristana. Lots of really good escapes. Nier walking right into a Galio getting taunted. That's basically going to mean that he's going to get stunned by the Nier root. But Renekton doesn't have a lot of damage right now. J4, meanwhile, in the backline, is going to get a Cataclysm up, trapping 2 members of BBZ. They are not able to do anything. That is a flash inside by Galio to get multiple members. This is a huge problem for BBZ, as they're just getting absolutely shredded from all different directions, as YUBI just basically flanks from the bot side as well. Red is having to back off. Dax backing off. Lights wants to re-engage because he's got full health, but he has no support.
Yeah, that was just weird. Like, I don't know what's going on. There should be like a meme about that, I think. What is with Tristana just walking between the Nautilus and the Israel? It's like he just mind gamed them. He's like, yeah, I work here. And they're like, what?
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of exactly what's going on, because what is happening... Oh, that was a good smite in order to make sure that they got the primary part of the jungle. Sure. It really doesn't do much. That's a missed now silence. Miles of heart, my friend. That was not what you wanted to do, but he gets the blue buff for it anyway. So with that fight, I think if we were to go back and look at it, basically we would see that the vision was on the side of YUBI, and they were basically able to completely enclose the rest of BBZ, and that was kind of what BBZ needs to stop letting happen. They're going for these fights, they're going for these picks because they see an opportunity, but they are not a 5v5 comp. This is not a comp that you want to be fighting on a regular basis in the jungle like that. It's much more of a ambush kind of comp.
Yeah.
And
like
they've been the ones getting ambushed.
Yeah, like if anything, I think a real struggle right now is that there's so many tools on the side of YUBI to get onto these carries, lights and red, but they're just not being respected. Like, they're using their tools to like engage from the Nautilus hook and Morgana bind, but then once those are over, they're just gonna walk onto their carries. So I think they should be really using those defensively more than to make these plays happen, because it just hasn't worked out a single time that they've tried it.
Exactly, and right now we've got YUBI who are basically baiting the Baron by starting it up, and they're kind of like, yeah, we're doing this. Are you going to come stop us? What you got? What you got? Utility Monsters responding to this. We got the Galio ulti coming in as well. That's a nice knockup, getting 2 members of BBZ. BBZ Lights is getting a lot of damage from that ulti down, but it's not quite enough to take anyone out. He does not have the damage currently. The rest of the team is engaging on a Nier. Nier going in way too deep, getting taken out, but Brian Sang is going to get that kill. BBZ Red is able to slay Utility Monster, as Lotion is still alive, does manage to get a little bit of damage, but is not quite able to take out Brian Sang. Dax having to go golden, but doesn't stay alive. Meantime, right there, we got a double kill going over to Tristana, as Jeff God Gamer once again shows what kind of a beast he is.
I think the most impressive thing about Jeff in that fight was his patience. Like, he really wasn't a part of that, and BBC's like, yeah, we could totally win this, but Jeff just kind of just sat there like, hold on, it's coming. It's gonna come. And then just blew it open, yeah.
That's exactly it, and that's going to be an easy mid inhibitor pickup for the side of YUBI. They're probably just going to turn around and go straight for Baron, either that or set up for Drake, or just reset for health.
Yeah, we very well could be looking towards our next Elder Dragon. That'll be up in a minute. I think that, you know, with their damage and, you know, how squishy BBZ really is so far, I mean, don't have too many tanky items quite yet to stack up to this damage, especially the Malzahar burn. So, yeah, I would just go for Elder over Baron, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to look at, because this is our second Elder Drake that we've picked up, and it's been really hard to pick up an Elder Drake in these previous games, right? But we also had the jungle changes come out this patch. So I wonder if those changes particularly are just making it to where it's a little bit easier for junglers to clear everything, have objective control, and BBZ unfortunately just isn't able to take advantage of that with Morgana, why in the same way that J4 is.
Sure. I mean, if you're, you know, having laners that are just absolutely destroying their counterpart. Yeah.
Utility Monster taking a lot of damage that he doesn't need to be taking.
Okay, puts in a favorable spot, but they're really out of position.
We do have this Elder Drake starting up right here. It is alive. We've got Lights and Red both on the bot side trying to get some poke off, but there's just not quite able to get the range. We have a Nier ulti come out a little bit early, I think. Probably didn't mean to pop it right there. In the meantime, we've got minions pushing into the BBZ's base. They aren't really able to contest this with that inhibitor down. It's making it a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I mean, Nier still does have teleport, so he can still really a little bit of pressure, but that it is the go button, I think, for YUBI here. So
And there is still the ward inside the pit itself, so that is available to be used. But we already have the jump out going down. We have the TP coming in. That's going to be a really late TP, though. He's going to be arriving as this fight ends. Lights tries to ulti off, but he ends up shooting at someone who's golden, so doesn't do a lot of damage. He's inside the Galio ulti right now. Galio ulti comes down, gets a nice knockup. That is a Malzahar ulti as well in the background, suppressing one member. That is Lights going down, Dax going down, and that is just an easy set of kills for the side of YUBI, and that is 2 TPs into the base, and that is going to be game.
Yeah, that absolutely has to be game. These death timers are way too long. And again, Utility Launch just kind of sat off on the side there, and then as soon as, BBZ Red and Light stepped up too far, just took it over. Now he's already on top of them. Any type of dash they do is just going to be followed up by EQ. There's no way to get out.
There is no way to get out, and that is going to be game. We do have a freeze here. I'm not entirely sure if that means that the game just ended and it kind of locked up, but that is going to be a win for YUBI. I liked what BBZ was trying to do from a theory standpoint, but that just did not work out well.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out the way we thought. I think the draft was, kind of good in theory, but I think we, even though it had built some leads, didn't really do much with them. I think that's kind of the big thing to take away.
It is, and look at this. We've got the total damage to champions. Their numbers are almost exactly the same. In fact, with BBZ doing more damage overall. But if we're looking at the tankiness of the side of YUBI, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, sure, you're putting damage up, but these guys are just soaking it up. And when you flip that over, Nier and Sangro just aren't able to soak up near as much.
They really aren't. I don't know. There just weren't a lot of options from a tank position for them to pick up in order to really frontline. I'm not entirely certain what good picks would have been for BBZ with the comp that they had built. I did like the idea of the multi-pushing lanes with Ezreal, Lucian, Morgana, but it becomes a situation where when you take a jungler like Morgana, you're giving up a lot of objective control to someone like a J4.
Sure, yeah. I think definitely, again, it's like you pick her, she clears fast, and as long as your pathing's effective, your bind is an incredible tool, and using that on Malachi on a repeat, again, didn't bring you any fruit, it didn't do anything with this extra gold and experience you have.
Yeah, and with that, I think we're about ready. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back with an interview, so stick around.
Performs on the beat.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here again for another interview. I'm joined this time by Brian Sang. What's going on, man?
Hello. We're pretty pumped after winning that game. It was a lot of our team members have been under some difficult circumstances, having to play like out of home, but we managed to pull it together and pull through this week, so we're quite happy with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, you managed to keep the streak alive. Talk to me a little bit about your plan coming into this game. You guys had an insane red side draft. In my opinion, you guys left open a lot of flexible picks with the Galio, Trist, and the Maokai. And if you want to get technical with it, like the J4, I guess, but not really. But still, solid. Talk to me about what it was like putting this draft together.
Yeah, so when we first started this draft, we kind of wanted to make sure that their bot lane couldn't play anything more passive and more kind of a farming style, because we knew that, last game we had a very strong, powerful bot side, so we wanted to be able to continue that trend. So we banned the kind of more non-interactive champions like the Janna, like the Lulu, like the Senna. And then, of course, they denied our Morgana, so we went with, Galio, which is pretty much a UB staple at this point, and it's really powerful because Civillock and I are willing to flex it between ourselves, and then we picked up the Jarvan with it because, of course, Jarvan engage plus Galio engage is a very powerful kind of just access to backline kind of tool. And so I think we ended up on the first rotation. We also ended up picking Maokai, and so those champions were really willing to flex it. We were really willing to put the Galio in mid or bot lane, or put the Galio or the Maokai in either top or support, depending on how we felt about the lanes. And then when we saw that they denied the Nautilus on the second pick because it's a good matchup for Galio, we were willing to send that bot lane and give Malzahar to our mid laner because we thought it performs very well against their superstar mid laner player. And we also picked up the Tristana because we were worried about that we wouldn't have enough damage because our comp is a lower damage. But their team isn't particularly tanky because you have a Bruiser Renekton and you have a support income Nautilus. So even though our team was slightly lower damage, we still have enough ambient damage to kind of make sure that we can still execute on those team fights.
Excellent breakdown of that. I like the thought process on all of that. And I will say, what I like is that you are in such a commanding lead and prominence in this league. You can just give away the strats like that and be like, yeah, this is how we saw it. This is how we did it. You guys are welcome to try and stop it in the future, but it didn't happen this time.
If there's one person that's going to leak strats, it's probably going to be me. I leaked it on the Mythic desk earlier, so I just leak all of our strategies.
Heard it here on Brian Sang's interview. Heard it here first, folks. Let's talk about your presence in this game. Again, it's a little bit of the Brian Sang diff. Put the commish in the ground. You had the most kill participation this game. What was it like in this actually playing out this draft that you put together, and the ability to roam and the presence that you're able to exert on other parts of the map? What was it like being Galio in this?
Right. Well, when you play Galio, you have a lot of presence with your ultimate because you can ultimate onto your allies. So if you'll notice what I was doing throughout the game, I kind of hovered in between lanes. And, I'll be sitting between bot and mid or mid and top because that way I can, flex. I can use my body as a ward and, exert pressure on either of the side lanes. I also served as kind of general peel. So really we went around to take down those turrets, and then when we gathered around those big objective fights where we're fighting for those dragons, we're fighting for those Rift Heralds, maybe we're fighting for those towers, that's kind of where we are flexing, the Jarvan Galio, and then we really just managed to hard engage. And that's why I think my kill participation is so high, is mainly because I think a lot of this game came down to the team fights. Most of the kills happened in the team fights. So because, I'm playing this big, gigantic AoE wombo combo character like Galio, who's piggybacking off the Jarvan engages, it just gives me a lot of room to work with when I have free access to their backline.
Right. So it sounds like you actually are unskilled as hell, and you're just getting farming free assists from the ultimate.
Yes. Right? My jungler, despite his handicap, fortunately gave me the perfect place to flex my muscle. So I'll have to thank him for that.
There you go. Thank God for Jarvan players who only have 2 keys or 3 keys on their keyboard.
thank you for Jarvan players.
Never seen a golden aegis in my life from a Jarvan player. All right. Well, you guys, again, keeping the streak alive. Let's talk about the upcoming looming specter of the playoffs. Is once we get there, because obviously you guys are locked in. Are you seeing anything on the horizon from these teams behind you that might be something to look out for? Does anything catch your eye?
Yeah, of course, we're always concerned with the up-and-coming teams. Next week, I think we play against Int and FEC, if I believe that's correct.
Oh wow.
And
that'll be big.
yeah, and even though we've beaten them so far in the league, we technically lost to FEC twice in playoffs, or sorry, during qualifiers. So we're always concerned about them. So technically, they're still 2-1 over us. So we're always looking forward to make sure that we adapt to what they're doing, make sure we adapt to the jungle changes that's happening this patch, in the patches in the future. So really, when that comes to the playoffs, we'll hope that it's a kind of a meta that not only favors our playstyle, or we have to adapt to it, but we'll also have to see whether or not, the other teams are adapting to that meta as well, because it's quite possible, that their style becomes much stronger when those changes go through. So we'll definitely keep an eye out. We'll make sure to prep our drafts in advance and try to really kind of play to our strengths to eke out our wins.
Yeah, I'm interested, as you say, about the upcoming patch changes with the jungle. We're gonna probably see a lot more of what we were seeing towards the end of season 10 in terms of the junglers. That's what I think I'm most interested about with those changes, is that the jungle is going back to more of those kind of mechanics with the catch-up experience. I guess little changes to the leashing, that's new, but the item system has entirely changed since then. So champions like Lee Sin, we've been seeing it in MSI in the top lane. I'm interested to see if this allows Lee Sin to be more flexible and flex between top jungle. Other champions that were played in the jungle, like Lilia, are we going to be seeing that become big ban again? So it remains to be seen whether these new tools in other teams' toolboxes will be more help for you or more help for them. So Brian, thanks again for joining us on the desk. I have a feeling I'll be seeing you soon. Any final words that Jeff has put in your mouth?
Jeff, I think Jeff was just feeling really good about this game because apart from my play this game as well, he had some really, really sharp engages and he played really on a razor's edge. So I'm sure it was very exciting for the audience. So big thanks to my AD carry Jeff for this game because I thought he played really well today.
There you go. That's how you keep your ADC happy, so he doesn't just turbo engine on you. Respect. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks again, Brian, for joining us for an interview. Folks, don't go anywhere. We still got one more game for tonight, so don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.